small modular reactors. SMRs that use pressurized water reactors will still generate highly radioactive fuel. End up with a vast amount of waste from today's reactors that needs to be stored safely. The waste from a thorium reactor is radioactive for about 500 years, compared to up to 10,000. Compared to the world's largest reactors that have topped 1.6 gigawatts of power capacity, this new technology is pretty small. A small modular reactor that would take up 1% of the space of a conventional reactor. The levelized cost of energy from nuclear power rose from around $117 per megawatt hour in 2015 to $155 by 2019. In comparison, solar and wind reached $40 and $41 per megawatt hour respectively. Where a typical commercial reactor cranks out a gigawatt of power, each NuScale SMR would generate just 60 megawatts. As well as the potential design changes and increased security. It faces important security questions, which include potential problems with the system that automatically shuts down its reactors in an eventual emergency. NuScale's SMR employs natural water circulation to passively cool its reactor down. Normally, convection circulates water laced with boron to control the nuclear reaction to the core of NuScale's reactor. If the reactor overheats, it shuts down and the valves release steam into the containment vessel where it condenses and flows back into the core. However, the condensed water can be low in boron. A low boron level might mean that it won't be able to stop the core. The issue that's pointed out by critics of nuclear power is the unresolved problem of what to do with the long-lived radioactive waste. Solutions for managing spent fuel and radioactive waste arising from SMRs will be one of the most important factors to take into account when choosing a technology, along with the security of the fuel supply. Most uranium ore that we mine is uranium-238 and only contains about 3 to 5% of uranium-235. When uranium-238 absorbs an extra neutron, it turns into uranium-239 and then quickly into plutonium, the material that we use for nuclear weapons. The spent uranium-235 from a nuclear reactor contains very radioactive isotopes with a half-life of thousands of years. So waste has to be stored safely for up to 10,000 years. Thorium, on the other hand, isn't fissile, which means it's not a good source for a fission reaction. While it's not directly usable in a fission reactor, when it absorbs a neutron, it decays into protactinium. Then it can be chemically separated into uranium-233, which in turn can be used in a reactor and is very efficient for fission reactions. Thorium is able to breed uranium-233. It's that ability to separate uranium-233 from thorium that sets it apart from uranium-235 and 238. The waste from a thorium reactor is radioactive for about 500 years.
Sizewell B is a pressurised water reactor,
providing 3% of the UK's electricity.
PWR is designed to operate continuously for a full 18-month cycle. A refuelling outage is where we stop generating electricity, refuel the reactor and do all the maintenance that we can't do whilst we're at power. This happens every 18 months.
Our fuel is uranium. Refuelling outage, we replace 1/3 of the fuel. Once placed in our reactor and introduced to a radioactive source, the fission process begins. During a refuelling outage, the used or spent fuel is moved to our fuel pond for long-term storage. After a number of years, it is moved to our dry fuel storage facility. Equipment and items that cannot be cleaned are packaged into specialist drums and sent to a low-level waste repository for further cleaning and long-term storage.
Some of the reactor types you'll find are heavy water reactors, high-temperature gas-cooled reactors, boiling water reactors, pressure water reactors, fast neutron reactors, and accelerator-driven reactors. Its focus are molten salt reactors like the liquid fluoride thorium reactor, or LIFTR based on the acronym, which uses thorium fluoride in a salt mixture that's melted into a liquid. This is often referred to as a breeder reactor design. Thorium goes in, fission products like uranium-233 come out. While the principles have been understood for a long time, there are still a lot of technical and practical challenges to overcome, like finding materials that can contain the corrosive molten salts.